Hi. In today's conversation, I'd like to address an interesting question that was asked to me by an aspiring medical writer. The question is, will I be happy as a medical writer? It's a tricky question to answer because it really depends on the person and what their interests are. But I thought of this question and I thought of addressing it anyway because it reminded me of something that I had read about happiness in the workplace and happiness in a professional sense. Social scientists have figured out that happiness in a professional setting is dependent on just two factors. The first factor is positive social interactions, and the second factor is the ability to understand and explain the purpose of your work. What is an example of a positive social interaction? If you look at someone and you smile at them and say good morning, and they smile back and say good morning to you, that's a positive social interaction. On the other hand, if they avert their eyes or try to ignore you or give you a dirty look, that's not an example of a positive social interaction. In fact, that's a negative social interaction. Negative social interactions build up over time and cause frustration in people. And that is a major detrimental factor in experiencing that sense of joy that you get from doing the work that you do. Interestingly, the job function has nothing to do with whether or not the person is happy with the job, as long as the two important factors of positive social interaction and being able to explain the purpose of the work is met. I also want to share my experience in medical writing and how it pertains to the study that I read about. As far as social interactions are concerned, the place I work has improvements in company culture as a very important component of the company's agenda. So social interactions is something which we practice day in and day out, and that's extremely helpful. It truly goes a long way in keeping people happy. Secondly, as far as explaining purpose is concerned, every employee where I work is asked to think about finding ways to explain their work to people outside the field. Again, if you don't have an answer, you can always reach out to a manager or reach out to someone in a supervisory position and say, what would be the best way of explaining this work to a client? And more often than not, the person who you ask the question to is responsible for giving you a reply, giving you the tools necessary in order to answer that question. So think about that. Think about the kinds of positive social interactions you've been having at your workplace. And honestly, medical writing has nothing to do with it because job function is less of a factor as long as these two important components are being met.